Hi, my name is Will Loving, and this is an introduction to Callers Companion, my database for dance callers. I'm going to walk you through some of the features and help you get started with it. The first thing to know is that Callers Companion is primarily designed to track two things. It does track some other things, but one is your actual dances, and the other is sets of dances, so that you can put together and then save an evening of dances and include notes with it and go back and look at it at some future point. This is an example of a set of dances, and this is a selector for adding dances to the set. On the dance screen, there are a number of buttons, and you'll notice actually I've had this little yellow thing popping up that says dances. Here, click here to go to dances. Almost everywhere in this program there are pop-up tooltips helps. So for instance, if I want to create a new record, there is an add button here, there's a delete button, and a find button, and there are keyboard shortcuts that are available for all of these up in the records menu for new record and so on, but you can also click on the icons here in the toolbar. You can see on this particular screen we're looking at Summer of '84 by Gene Hubert and Steve Schnurr, and I've got the title of the dance here, I've got the two authors' names, and then I have the dance phrases. And currently this is a standard contra dance with 4 phrases, A1, A2, B1, and B2, and I can go in and edit any of these phrases that I want. If I'm doing a dance that has additional parts, a C1, C2, I can add an additional section here, and it will ask me what the number is, and I can go ahead and say, oh, this is going to be a C1 section, and it adds it in here. I'm not actually going to use that, so I'm going to delete it. Down below here are a large number of buttons, each one of which will insert a phrase into the text, and I'm going to show that to you in just a moment, but each button has an abbreviation, and for instance, Bal Ring says click here to insert Petronella balance the ring and twirl into the current section. HW, Hey W is click here to insert Hey, women passing right shoulders into the current section. Now I happen to like using verbose descriptions, but some people like to use very abbreviated descriptions. So what you need to know is that all of these buttons can be customized to have your own preferred phrases and your own preferred labels. So for instance, right and left through. The button says RL through, the text it inserts is half right and left through, and the number of beats for the call is 8. So let's go ahead and create a dance, and then we can look at some of the other parts of the screen. I'm going to simply click New here, and we're going to enter Balance to My Low by Becky Hill. And that dance begins with long lines forward and back. So I'm going to go to my button here, long lines forward and back, and then it's circle left. And you'll notice that it immediately jumped to the next phrase. That's one advantage if you don't normally put beats in. If you put the beats in, it'll add them up and notice that there's 16 and jump to the next phrase. The next phrase is right and left through. Women chain on the left diagonal. So I have a women's chain, but it doesn't say on the left diagonal. So I'm going to go back here and type in on left diagonal, and then go on to the next phrase. Balance in the ring and do a Petronella turn, and I could either put that in twice, or I'm just going to put 2x here. Let me know that it happens twice, and then we have it one more time, and then we have swing your partner, and we're done. The one exception that I'm going to put in here is that on this particular dance down in my calling notes, I'm going to say suggest no clapping on final balance the ring, so that for a longer swing, so that people can have a longer swing with their partners. This is something I might mention when I'm calling. So to give you a little bit more view of these buttons here, I'm actually going to go to the admin area and click on the insert phrase buttons. This looks a little complicated, but in fact the first column here is just the label that's on the button. So there's 32 buttons. The second column is the text that gets inserted. So as I say, if you prefer PSW instead of partner swing, you can put that in. It's up to you. And finally, the number of beats. Some people like to put the beats before the phrase. Some people like to put them after the phrase. So there's a beginning and end. And some people don't like to put them in at all. And so you can choose. I happen to like having them at the beginning. And there are some other preferences here that we can look at in a little bit. For now, let's go back to the dances and take a look at this particular dance. You'll notice that it's telling me that there's a duplicate because in fact there are two Balance to My Lose, and in fact I thought I selected Becky Hill, but there, now it's Becky Hill. Under the Dance Details tab, we have the type, and by default it's set to Contra. Subtype is something that carried over from Russ Owen's old database. It's primarily for square dances. The contra form, the formation, the progression, and the level. And so I'm going to say, I think this is a beginning intermediate dance. Oh, and by the way, it is also a Beckett dance. And when you select Beckett, it fills in the direction, clockwise being the default, and you can set counterclockwise if you wish. And I really like this dance, so I'm just going to give it 5 stars. If you want to say that this dance has a distinctive move, you could put that in. And if you wanted to put in a couple of tunes, Soldier's Joy, or whatever else you wanted to put in there. There is a print date, which whenever you print the dance, if I were to go ahead and print this right now, it would actually enter the date. And there are a couple of fields where you can enter your own comments. And there are also some value lists where you can go in and you can change this to whatever you want it to be, my own entry, and then you can select that as for your own pull-down menus. Down here is something I'm still kind of experimenting with. This is an element checklist. It lists the number and the kind of swings, and it also lists particular elements. Part of this was pulled from Larry Jennings' books, and I've taken other suggestions. I'm still sort of seeing how it works out. There's a source tab where you can list a web reference. You can also list a YouTube or other video reference. And there actually is one for this, but I'm not going to bother to type it all in right now. But you'll notice that when something is actually entered here, this highlights, and you can click on it and it'll actually open your browser and go directly to that video. You can type in who you got this from, and I got this from George Marshall. And it will try to guess as to who it was, and you can note whether it's in a book or so on. So that's pretty much all for entering one dance, and there is an additional option to add it to a set. So let's say that I am going to be calling a new dance, and let's start. What we're going to do is set the Guiding Star Grange in Greenfield, and I'm going to be calling it on, well, actually I'm going to be calling there on April 24th, so we'll make it up as we go here. And now that I've created the set, I can actually go back to the dances, and I can select that particular set, and I can say, oh, okay, well, I'm going to do Balance to Malou, and then I can continue to add other dances to the set. Now I could go and search for dances here by clicking Find and putting in, let's see, let's pick a dance. Oh, Treasure. And that brings up Forgotten Treasure by Beth Parks, and I'm going to add that to my dance. and I could continue this way looking up one dance at a time. But there's actually an easier way to do this, which is to actually go to the Sets screen, and there's a filter here. So I happen to want to find all dances by David Kaner. And so there's David Kaner. Oh, and there's Mary Kay's Reel. I'm going to add Mary Kay's Reel to it. And I'm going to use Baby Rose at some point, maybe towards the end. And I also want to do Hay in the Barn at some point. So I'm going to put in that. And let's see, I like dances by Rick Moore, so let's search on Rick's dances. And let's see, we'll do Sunset Limited. And let's see, and we'll do Trip to Peterborough. And let's see, I think there was another dance, there was a triple progression dance that I like, but I can't remember what the name is. Oh yeah, it's Eleanor's Reel by Bill Olson. So I'm adding that in, and I can just clear this. And let's see, oh, there's a dance by Sue Rosen, and I can't remember what the name of that dance is too, so I'm going to find her dances. Oh, I got two of the same here. Oh yeah, it's Mood Swings, so I'm going to go do that one. Actually, no, I think I'll do Angel's Flight. So let's pick up a couple more dances here by finding someone. Let's look for Tom Hines dances. And you would obviously have to enter all of these dances, but as your collection grows, you'll be able to search for them. I'm going to do Frederick Reel and another nice combination, and we'll finish it out with that. So now that I have the dances in here, I need to order them, and as you order them, one of the things that you can do is you can mouse over, I'm not even clicking the binoculars, and it'll actually show me the dance and the calling notes. So if I'm not sure if two dances are too similar to each other, I can actually mouse over them. And let's say, oh, let's see, I want to do Baby Rose first. So I could click Baby Rose and move it up one, but I'm actually going to Alt click on it, and that'll move it to the first position. And I'm going to end with Hay in the Barn, so I'm going to Alt click on the down arrow, and that moves it to the last position. And let's say that Trip to Peterborough is going to be my break dance. So I'm going to put as a dance just before the break. So I'm going to click this little checkbox here, puts this orange mark that shows me that that is in fact the dance before the break. And you'll notice also when I clicked on it or click on any of these dances, it'll show me the full details for the dance, and I can even edit them in here. So now that I've got my dance organized, and I'm obviously not taking the time to sort through all of this and set up a dance, although it's a nice collection of dances, it probably isn't in order that I would do them in. I want to print it, so you can click here to print the list, and it gives me the option of printing just the set list. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. So here's the set list, and it gives me all the dances, the progression, the level that I've assigned to them, who wrote it, and if I have music assigned to it, it'll put that in as well. I'm just going to close out of this, and if I go back to this, I can also click have it show me, print for me all the dances. So I'm just going to do that quickly to show you what that looks like. And here are the dances in order. And this is on 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper, but there are other options for printing on index cards and so on. And we're going to cancel out of that one. And then finally there is an option also in there to do both the list and dances, and so that's listed right there. And I guess I'm going to have to cancel through this again in order to get out of it. So that's how you create a set. And you can search on the sets. You know, if you want to search by date, you could say, what date was it? And I'm going to go back a couple of months, and somebody says, hey, what was that set that you called? And I know that I called a dance on Valentine's Day, so I'm just going to search for that, and there's the dance that I did on Valentine's Day. So going back to dances here for a moment, I showed you how you can add a dance to a set, and so here's actually the set that we were just building. But in addition, I can click on past sets, and this will show me all the times that I've called that particular dance, along with a description and a list of the dances in that particular set. So if you want to see what you did, where you called this, what order it in, that was Forgotten Treasure. It was the third dance, and out of 11 dances there. A couple of other things to be aware of is that there are some very nice little special functions under the special menu up here. If you are creating a dance and you're going to show another one that's a duplicate of it, you can simply do duplicate dance, and it will create the whole thing over and ask you if you want to duplicate the notes fields. And it puts duplicate in it so that you know this is a duplicate of the original. I'm just going to delete that. There is also an option to duplicate a set. So if you're going to start with one particular set and duplicate it and make some alterations but want to keep both, you can use that. Another option is copy dance to clipboard. This is extremely handy, and I'll show you how it works. If I do copy dance to clipboard, I'm going to do the short version, and then I start a new email. And I'm actually going to bring over an email window so you can see. And I click in here and I do paste. I've just pasted the dance directly onto the clipboard. And now I can email this to someone. And for any of you who do not have your dances in a database but perhaps have them in a Microsoft Word document or some other form where it's straight text, there is import one dance via copy paste. And I'm going to give you an example of that. Here is an email that I just pulled off of Shared Wait that has a dance in it that I want to keep, Heartbeat Contra by Dan Flaherty. I'm going to, it's going to disappear for a moment, and I'm going to go and, actually let me bring it back. I'm going to copy the dance here. So I've just done a copy in my email program. And now I'm going to get rid of this because I don't need it anymore. I go to the special menu and choose Import One Dance. This dance is called Heartbeat Contra. And in this second field, I'm just going to do a paste. And I'm going to paste in the entire dance as it came out of the email. And click Parse Text. And you'll notice that it actually created the dance exactly as it was in the email, which you see here. You can then go and edit it, and you can assign, let's see if he's in here. Is Don Flaherty in here? Yes, Don Flaherty is in here. So I've now created the dance, and I can go and I can add things like beats or neighbor balance and swing. Ladies Gypsy 1.5, I might want to move that to the next line. Different things like that. You can edit it, you can put in your calling notes. And you can also correct things. For instance, if this were in fact a Beckett dance, you could assign it to Beckett, or if it was a proper dance, if it was a triplet, you can assign all of these, and you can assign the level to it. And if this dance had a distinctive mood, like Ladies Gypsy, you might wish to put that in there as well. If this dance is related to another dance, I can actually click in here and search for the dance. And I'm just going to pick one by random. I'm going to look for Sunset Limited, which is by Rick Moore. And I'm going to select it. And now I've created a relationship between the Heartbeat Contra and Sunset Limited. Not for any real reason, just to show you how this works. And I can actually click this, and it takes me to Sunset Limited, and there's a relationship back there. Finally, the last thing I'd like to show you is the search. You can click on the search button and you can type the name of a dance or an author. So I'm going to just choose Rick Moore again. And there's all of Rick's dances in list view. But you can do more than that in here. If you click on Find, oh, and it didn't go to the Find screen. Well, that's what happens when you beta test things here. Let's go back to the main screen and choose Find. And now it goes to the Find screen. Let's say somebody recently asked on shared wait for Petronella dances that Petronella type dances where the Petronella balance in turn happens in the B1. So I'm going to type in Petronella, and if you've used that terminology you can find it. And so here are a whole set of dances: Balance to My Lou, Tika Tika Timing, all of which have the word Petronella in the B1.